What's good, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Terribles Toxic Takes, the movie edition. This one's going to be about Coming to America, the sequel to Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, Leslie Jones, Wesley Snipes, Tracy Morgan, among others. James Earl Jones is in it too. Um, they brought back a lot of the people from the first one. I don't have enough time to explain who a lot of them are because a lot of them aren't still big movie stars right now. You probably wouldn't even know who the fuck it was anyway. That being said, I really appreciated that they did that. Like for the fans, they did that for everybody that loved the movie. They brought everybody back, dude. Everybody, except for one or two exceptions. Like I said, this is gonna be a spoiler-free review. Hopefully, I don't slip up or do anything because I'm coming straight off the top of the cuff. So it's just a spoiler-free review because I know my last one was just whatever. Anyway, so if you don't know, Coming to America 1 is the story of Prince Akeem Joffrey, or Joffer. Sorry, Joffrey. I'm watching too much Game of Thrones. Akeem Joffer. And he's rich beyond belief. He's African royalty. So he's a prince and he's, basically born with a silver spoon up his ass, or in his mouth, I should say. Up his ass is kind of, more derogatory, but he's very spoiled, very privileged, and the beginning of the movie, part one, we're talking about part one, I'm just giving you a quick review. He has an arranged marriage and he doesn't want to marry her. He wants to find his own way in life, and he asks his dad if he can go look for his own wife or whatever. Long story short, he goes to Queens, New York. He finds a girl, he falls in love, and he brings her back at the end of the movie. All right. So part two, fast forward all the way 30 years because it's present time. It's part two takes place during the present time. She's with him. She's the princess of Zamunda. He's the prince of Zamunda, and his dad that played his dad in part one, James Earl Jones, is on his deathbed, and he's already about to become king, but his dad reveals to him that he found out, like his informants found out, that he has an illegitimate son still in America. Now, if you guys watched part one as much as I did, and I watched it a lot, we all watched it a lot, you know that Eddie Murphy never hooked up with anybody in the movie, anybody else other than Lisa, I think her name was. So they do like a nice little, without spoiling too much, they have like a nice little thing to put how it happened, like how it ended up happening, that he got someone else pregnant or something like that. And I have to be honest with you, it wasn't I think they made sure that it wasn't super detailed, and it wasn't oh my god, we don't want there to be any holes in the story of how he got someone else pregnant without him knowing or anything like that. They didn't put too much effort in it, and I didn't really give a shit. It was cool enough. It was cool enough to keep the movie going. It didn't bring the movie to a screeching halt. It didn't turn you off from it. It didn't make you be like, oh, well, I'm not going to watch this because it's not believable. Man, it's a comedy. They're both comedies. They're not based on real life. They're not about the fucking actual documentation of the Zamunda royal family or nothing like that. It's a fucking comedy that Eddie Murphy made up. He wrote part one. I'm sure he wrote most of part two. He made all this shit up. So it's not something to be taken so seriously. That being said, there's an actor that has been doing a lot of comedies lately that's always been a pretty serious actor. And, he's been gotten a lot of flack for being a serious actor on sets that he starred in and stuff. But I loved his last two movies. And I'm talking about the great fucking Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes is really funny in this movie, and he was really funny in Dolomite. The guy that directed this movie, Craig Brewer, he directed Dolomite also. So he's directed Eddie Murphy and Wesley Snipes in these two movies already. Wesley Snipes is such a delight, man. No. Okay, Wesley Snipes is dope. I'm going to say Leslie Jones is a delight. But I'll get to her in a little bit. So Wesley Snipes is a general from a neighboring country or whatever. Like I said, I'm not going to give too much away, but he's African. He speaks with the African accent. And he's very, I wouldn't say over the top, but he's just not Wesley. And that's what I love. That's what I loved about the last two movies that he did. So who do I know? Maybe that is Wesley and he's actually letting himself come out. But either way, I love it. I love Wesley Snipes in this movie, and I love Leslie Jones. I don't think anybody really stole the show in this movie, but if anyone did, it would have been Leslie Jones. Like, her jokes and the shit that she was saying, like, there's a lot of things that came out of her mouth. Yeah, Leslie Jones was great in this movie. Tracy Morgan was very Tracy Morgan in this movie, so I didn't really see like anything, great. I don't think Tracy Morgan is just very generic Tracy Morgan. You know what I mean? Eddie Murphy is Prince Hakeem, like you would expect him to be. He's not very out of the ordinary either. He's not doing anything crazy, but he's a very more mature version of Prince Hakeem, which I think is very important to point out because, in the first movie, he was looking to find something. In this movie, he already found that something, but he's on to a different chapter of his life. His daughters are all grown up. He has nothing but daughters, and in every culture and any monarchy and everything like that, it's considered a sign of weakness to not have a male heir because your legacy can't go on. And neighboring countries or anyone that wants to have a daughter that they can marry with your son. So he's getting a lot of shit from Wesley Snipes or whatever the hell. So the whole point of the movie is, yeah, he's gonna go try to reconnect with his son so he can get an heir, which definitely rubs his daughters the wrong way. Like I said, I don't want to give too much of the movie away. I want you guys to watch it. But it has I'm saying he grew up. He's a grown up version of Prince Hakeem. He's not just looking for a bride now. He's looking for his heir. He's looking for a way to spread his legacy. But even looking for the heir, maybe that's not the best way to spread his legacy. And I think that's something that he battles with in the movie. In a comedy, I really appreciate when there's a real conflict in there. I'm not saying I can relate. I would have no idea to relate on that. Like, most of us would never be able to relate to that. Like king and queen, like heir to the throne type of deal. But it was really good to add that element to his character. I liked it a lot. That being said, this movie has the most amazing cameos. Like, I wouldn't even, I would have run out of list on, I would have run out of room on my list to list all the cameos that came out in this movie. Amazing cameos. Like, like you wouldn't even believe. One thing that I thought that was kind of I would say it was dope, but it was kind of odd is they went back, they did a lot of callbacks in the movie, but it was mostly 90s callbacks. The movie came out in the 80s, and they had En Vogue and Salt and Pepper doing What a Man, which was a single that they did together. I fucking love that song. And they perform. Ah, damn, I don't want to give away too much, but they all come out and they perform it. It's a 90s song. They do a performance of a Prince song. Now, Prince ruled the 80s, right? But what Prince songs they decided to do? My favorite 90s Prince song, and maybe you guys don't know about it, but it's a song called Get Off. Oh, man. And they do a version of that song. Like, they have all these 80s Prince songs that they could have did. But you know what? I'm not even tripping. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, it's great. But Wesley Snipes, Nino Brown, Simon Phoenix, Blade, Passenger 57, Bobby Rayburn, White Man Can't Jump. Okay, yeah. So, I love Wesley Snipes. I love Leslie Jones. I don't dislike the guy that played Eddie Murphy's son. I can't think of his name right now. To be honest with you, I haven't seen too much of his work to be able to even put him on the list of actors right here. But he wasn't a standout for me. It really wasn't. The girl that he was interested in, the girl his love interest in the movie, we'll just say that, was a lot more interesting than him. So anyway, final, review, pretty much, bottom line, I give it a 7 out of 10. Okay. And like I said, I like the movie a lot. I liked it a lot, but I feel like a lot of my, what I liked about it is built on the scaffolding of, that I love part one, the scaffolding that part one built up. You know what I mean? The crutches that part one built up. If there was no part one to this movie would have laid flat on its ass, straight up. I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but everything about part one made this movie really cool. And I mean that in a real serious way. I like the movie. I really do. But it's because I love Coming to America. And I think that's what they worked on. It wasn't a bad movie at all. That's why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, because I can watch it again. And that's a really big thing for me, is rewatch value. If I'm Like I watch a movie like, hey, have you seen Coming to America? No, you haven't? Let's watch it. I'm down to watch it again real quick. All right. And that's just how it is. So it'll never be as good as the original. Not even close. That's a curse that most sequels have to live with, especially if you wait like 30 years to make the second one. But I feel like it did a pretty good job. Everything that I just said, you know, the scaffolding of the first one, the crutches, the structure of the first one and everything like that kept this, the structure, the foundation was strong enough to keep this second project up. But it's worth a watch. It is worth a watch. There's a little bit of Michael Blackson in there too. Right? Too little in my taste. I love Michael Blackson, and I wish they would have put his African ass in there a lot more. Like, mother suckers. But I mean, you already know there's gonna be some Randy Watson sexual chocolate. Randy Watson was one of my favorite things about part one. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, then you just don't know. Who gives a shit? All right. The barbers in the barber shop were really funny too. Especially the the African jokes about, oh my god, bro, the African jokes about like Hotel Rwanda and Kunta Kinte and oh my god, man. In part two, I'm talking about like the African jokes oh man, you just gotta see it. So those little things, those things were really good. It was good to see Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy in makeup again and doing all these multiple characters, man. Like, to be honest with you, the one that was making me laugh the most was it was a new character that Arsenio Hall did in this movie, and he was like an African witch doctor shaman dude. Oh my god, bro. Like, yeah. So that's all I got for y'all. I gave this movie a 7 out of 10. Thought it was a great movie. Thought it was a good movie. It was a good sequel. It was a good movie. And I mean, it did not stand on its own two legs. I will say that. It stood on mostly what Coming to America Part 1 built up for it. But it was great. It was worth the wait. I don't think they hyped it up enough to bring down the value or bring down my thoughts of it. Like, it was hyped up just well enough for me. Like, the hype was worth the wait. Yeah, but that's basically it. You know, that's what I got for y'all right now. Stay tuned for the next video. It's gonna be a little bit more extensive than this, but I took a break from making that one because as soon as I saw this, I was like, I had to say something about this. And that's my 2 cents on this new Eddie Murphy movie, which I think is worth a watch. No matter what, it's definitely worth, anything with Eddie Murphy is worth a watch, man. You got to give that man his fucking due. He's a fucking legend. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, Leslie Jones, James Earl Jones, Wesley Snipes, Tracy Morgan, directed by Craig Brewer, and it's on Amazon Prime. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit the like button if you liked what you guys saw. Don't forget to subscribe, and please hit the bell icon if you guys are enjoying the content or whatever I'm saying and stuff like that, so you guys can get a couple more videos like that. And even if you don't, like, I'm gonna keep doing this anyway, you know, like, it just is what it is. But yeah, that's about all I got for y'all. You guys have a great weekend whenever you guys watch this video or anything like that. It's the weekend out here. But yeah, that's about it. Peace.